Well, the real rebel, he had an idyllic childhood, growing up in the wilds of the Pacific Northwest. So we at Timberlane Films met the real rebel at one of his favorite fishing holes, so we can learn a little bit more about how he got to start fishing with the reel on top.
All right, Steve-O, fire away with your questions.
How did you figure out the reel on top technique, man?
Well, it wasn't like I just woke up one morning and decided I was gonna fish with a spin reel on top. No, it goes a lot deeper than that. I'd say it goes back to my childhood. Yeah, I grew up in a real fishing kind of a family. My grandparents fished, my dad fished, my sisters, my brother, we all fished. When I was barely old enough to walk, my dad gave me my first fishing reel, a bait cast reel. You see, my dad, he had no use for spin reels. He thought they were a lazy man's way of fishing. There's only bait cast reels for my dad. The bigger and clunkier, the better. As you can imagine, a little kid starting out on his fishing with a bait cast reel could be a real handful. The line gets all snarled up in the spool in just about every cast. Well, thankfully, these bait cast reels are always fished on top. I mean, even all these folks that are in a bind and complaining that I fish with a spin reel on top would agree that you fish with a bait cast reel on top. Yeah, having that bait fishing reel on top as a kid was a real godsend. I could quickly untangle it. I also found out it was a lot easier for me to adjust the drag. Sometimes I'd hook into a bigger fish than expected, so I'd have to loosen up the drag so I could play it out a little bit, or tighten it up if it's a smaller fish, or even to get a snag out. I could also check for frayed line. Having the reel on top, I could easily fix all that as a little kid. In my early teens, when I started on a spin cast reel, I just naturally started fishing with the spin reel on top. That's because all the same benefits that go with fishing a bait cast reel on top also apply to a spin cast reel. Now, it caused me some issues in my childhood when I was a little boy, because I'd go out fishing with all the other boys, and they ridiculed me for the way I fished with the reel on top. They were all fishing with the reel on bottom. I tried to tell them, but they just didn't get it. You know, they were all brought up that way, fishing with the bottom, so they never had the experience that I did of all the benefits and advantages of fishing with a reel on top. So they fished it their way. And, you know, you got to understand, when you're a little boy and you don't fit in with the other boys, it's real rough. They don't want, they don't want to fish with you. They think there's something odd about you. Steve-O, I'm gonna need a few minutes, all right, Steve-O?
Not long ago you got hurt, someone did you wrong. I can see it in your eyes, it's like your fire is gone. Across your face, it is written across your face. Just hold on a bit more, 'cause I know you only see the rain, not the rainbow. Deep down I know you're strong. Give them hell, baby, prove them wrong. Just hold on a bit more, 'cause I know you only see the rain, not the rainbow. I know you'll get up again, better stand up tall. I know you can be brave, brave, brave. I know you can be brave, brave.
All right, by God, Steve-O, let's roll that camera. I'm not done with my story yet. So one day I got back from fishing with my buddies when I was a little boy, and I said to my dad, Dad, I don't want to fish no more. The other boys, they bully me and hassle me for fishing with the reel on top, but Dad, I know it's the best way to fish. I know it's easier to use it that way. So my dad, he sat me down and said real calmly, he says, son, you're gonna find in life that a lot of folks are trying to tell you how to do things their way. what you got to do is you got to go out there and find how to do things your own way. And in doing so, you might discover that you're doing it one way and they're all doing it differently. Maybe you're the one that's doing it right and they're all doing it wrong. So son, you get out there with your buddies and you fish with that reel on top. And when you go fishing, you hold that reel up high and you fish with the reel on top.
Fishing with the reel on top was a hard and lonely road. But the real rebel, he knew it was an easier way to fish, and he refused to back down. And that real rebel, he just kept right on fishing with the reel on top. He fishes his own way. He's a maverick. He fishes with the reel on top.
We were such a constellation, right? No, you'd agree.